everybody, and welcome to this walkthrough of the text guide for the mountain tournament with me and Mr. RJTV. Welcome, my friend. How are you doing today?
Anytime I get to make a video with you is a good day, bro. I'm feeling great. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. With all that love, I couldn't be feeling anything else than fine. And it was a while ago now. We have basically been doing like every other tournament now, because I was sick one time and traveling one time. And so I know, for you that watching, I know I take that on myself, you know, my mistake, but I'm very happy to be here as well, and for this walkthrough. And as always, for you that are watching, or maybe you're watching for the first time, we go over the text guides that is made for the mountain tournament. We go over for rookie, that is RJ's specialty. I take pro, expert and master. Then we of course try to cover what type of clubs, what type of ball, elevation adjustment, everything. So this might be a little bit longer video, but I promise you fully packed with good advice, and going to definitely help you out when the tournament comes. So we're going to go right at it here. I'm going to start off with hole number 1, and I'm going to leave or like throw the ball over to you, RJ, as normal. So how do we play hole number 1?
Well, I'd like to preface this real quick. I know you put the time slots in there so everyone can see. I want to see hole 5, you know, or whatever. Watch this whole video, especially if you're rookie, because I am only using the extra mile twice. Ooh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Hole 1, par 4, very easy. As you can see, the black line is the line that you want to take. I am bringing the quarterback, because if you bring an extra mile, you're probably not going to use max distance. I like setting it up a little bit to the right of where the black line is, but that puts you in danger. If the ball carries, it can carry into the sand trap there. So I really like where Tommy's got it set up with a side spin ball and your quarterback, because we all know the quarterback has more curl than the extra mile. So that way you take any risk and danger out of it. That would be full top spin, full right spin, 1 ball right curl. And again, at least a quasar, you want 2 side spin or 3 if you're going for gold. And that'll set you up for a nice shot on the pin. The second shot, you're most likely going to have a little bit of rough right there by the water, as you can see on the screen right now. The side spin will let you just put on full right side spin and then make your adjustment that way, so you're not really close and in any type of danger.
So when going over to the second tee then, which is pro and expert, and we're going to play basically exactly the same way. We bounce before the bunker there, we can bounce more to the center or more to the right, depends on what we want to do. Side spin on a ball, as much top spin as possible. If we do have crosswind right to left, then I would be applying some curl to the right as well. The thing we can do if we do have some tailwind is that we actually can drive over the bunker pretty easily, to be honest. The fairway that we do have, like the bigger part, let's pretend, not pretend, but let's say we are at the second black marker, then the fairway slopes massively down to the right. So even if you come in a little bit too hot to the left, you're going to fall back down and then going to have no problem to stay on the fairway. Even if we are in the rough on the left side, we're still going to reach for the green too. The approach shot there is going to be played with a 10% extra adjustment, because we're playing it slightly downhill. The green, you could easily see that when making that shot, it is on a lower point where you start with your shot, and that is going to be downhill. The ball is going to be longer time in the air and therefore be more affected by the wind. I like to do my approach with going directly at the green, with using either my long iron, the Saturn, or the Thorn, the short iron, with a 3 to 4 bars of backspin, a single bounce on the green, then the rest to roll towards the pin. We can go for the dunk. We can also use the back of the green to fall back down if we want to. And when it comes to Master Division, which is the third tee, then it's going to be exactly the same way here. With a massive headwind, we're most likely going to just have to lay up. amongst the three bunkers we do have there in the beginning, and then we're still not going to have any trouble whatsoever to reach for the green in two, then I would suggest using either an upgraded Cataclysm or a Guardian with backspin, so we could go on the back of the green, make it stop, fall back down towards the pin. So then we do have hole number one. Hole number two, par 5 directly there, one of the oldest, I would have to say. It's a long time ago I played it, but I think we all played this one a couple of times. So how do you play hole number two?
Well, with anything other than wind in your face, I would say bring the extra mile or the big topper, both with full top spin, both with at least a power 1 or a power 2 ball. And you're going to want to land right about where that first black box is, and then that'll take you out to the fairway. If you have any type of wind in your face, though, I would not recommend trying that with rookie clubs. Even if you have pro clubs, you might fall short and end up in the sand or the rough, or have to overpower and end up with the trees. So if we have a wind in our face, I would say bring the quarterback, because that accuracy is going to bring you as close to the rough as possible without falling off into the sand. Either way, be careful, because that will take the green out of contention for you, and most likelihood, especially if you got wind blowing back at you for your second shot. But then if you do make either shot, you can definitely get on the green in two. And yeah, like I said, I would bring a power 1 or a power 2 ball, quarterback, extra mile for any other type of wind except for in your face. I'm sorry, big topper, extra mile, quarterback if the wind is blowing in your face.
Yes, and I'm going to build on that myself as well for Pro and Expert, and also for Master. If we do have for Pro and Expert some type of tailwind, that could be crosswind and tailwind together, and we're going to try to bounce over the bunker with some crosswind and headwind, and also complete headwind, we're going to have to lay up. The reason I do not suggest you to try it, even if you have crosswind and headwind, is like with a bad drive and you go short in that rough or in the sand trap, you are not going to have a chance to reach for the green in two. And we always need to have that chance. And of course, you can maybe have, if you play an expert, upgraded clubs like the Apocalypse level 6 or level 7 sometimes. Sure, that's a special situation, but that's a general way. Never try to go over that sand trap if you're not having a little bit of tailwind. Master, we need to have straight tailwind to be able to reach. And I would suggest to use a power 4, power 5 ball to also lower the wind resistance, so we can use the wind a little bit better. When it comes to the second shot, if we reach over the sand trap, we're going to go with a short iron or a long iron. If we can't, we're going to play with a sniper or the Cataclysm. With like straight headwind, we're going to need more distance. Then it's going to be a Cataclysm, or I will say the big dog, because we do get more yards. With crosswind and with maybe some minor headwind, then I would be playing with the sniper to give myself a better ball guideline. The second shot, as you can see here with the elevation, elevation first shot, I'm not adding anything. Elevation second shot from first fairway, it's going to be 10%. For the first shot, because we're playing that one more downhill than we do when we come to a lower point. And the elevation second shot from the second fairway is going to be 5% extra. I know it's not 100% accurate with the elevation, but it's very close. And there is a lot of players that is asking for a number for the elevation. That's why we are adding them, or I'm adding them also. So we're going to go over to hole number 3. I'm very interested to hear here, because this is the first time before with these first 3 holes where it actually changes big time from rookie to pro, expert and master.
All right, well, for hole number 3, I got the backbone and also a kingmaker. Yes, a kingmaker. If you guys aren't watching Tommy's Golden Shot Medium, you need to be, because then you'd have plenty of kingmakers for this shot. A kingmaker can be the difference between a birdie or a par. I would go with about 2 or 3 backspin, line the ball guide up just short of the hole, and then take your shot using the black line. Make sure you're not too close to the rough, both on the top of your at the top of your target or on the right of your target. Use a little bit of right spin if you need to, if you want to move it over, and really just go for the birdie here. Sure, you do have the opportunity of getting a hole-in-one, but don't get too technical as to where a great shot will land you in the rough or make your birdie approach any harder.
For Pro and Expert tee, which is the second tee, we're going to play with a wood club. I prefer the Sniper because it gives me a better ball guideline and accuracy, but the Guardian is also possible to play with. It's down to personal preference, really. We do go with 4 bars of backspin if we do have tailwind, 3 bars of backspin if we do have crosswind, and then we do have 2 bars of backspin if we do have headwind, and that is while going with the black line. The only reason I do have the white line there is for a master. If we do have some real crazy crosswind right to left, or we do have some massive headwind, then it's going to be better for us to play with the Rocket level 10 max backspin, which is 98 in stat, to go directly on the green, use the max backspin to go at the pin. If we do have tailwind, we can actually play that shot with the Guardian, with a Kingmaker, and get the same type of wrestle. It's a way to secure the birdie, because this is going to be a very tough hole to make a hole-in-one on, especially from the third tee. I do add 10% in adjustment, because we're going to play this one slightly downhill. Other than that, Kingmaker, Pro and Expert will definitely be enough. We can play with a Navigator as well, but Kingmaker would be my suggestion. Or for Pro and for Master, Kingmaker or a wind 5-ball, which reduces the wind even more. Hole number 4, and I would say this is the least attractive hole, I would say. So how do we play hole number 4?
I don't know about that, Tommy. I see some nice curves in there. Hole number 4, quarterback, black line. Now, I always played this according to the white line, but I am teaching rookie here. And in my opinion, taking the black line with a quarterback and a power 1 or 2 ball, you will be able to get, you'll hit where the first black box is, and you'll be able to roll up to where the second black box is. Remember, the quarterback has an excellent ball guide, so you can pretty much see where the ball's going to stop. And then if you look at the second shot, there's a very narrow fairway leading up to the pin. Everywhere else there's sand. So you're making that second shot much easier by taking the black line. If you want, you could bring an extra mile and put some curl on it. And if you do mess up the shot and end up in the rough to the left, you can still make it to the green there, as to where if you make a mistake on the black line, I don't believe you're going to be able to make it to green. However, with the quarterback, we eliminate the error almost completely because of the accuracy and the ball guide, and I believe that's the easiest way you might even get an eagle on this.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a possible eagle hole, and with the thing that I've meant with the least attractive hole is that it's basically a straightforward and then straightforward again. I'm playing the black line from second tee and also third tee. The reason I'm not even going to touch the white line is that, as you can see on the markers there, and maybe you can zoom in, or maybe when you print it out you can see it better, that even if we play on the left side, sure, we're going to have less distance to the pin, but we're going to have to apply curl, as we're going to have a more straight line into the bunker or into the rough. If we play according to the black line, we do get more distance from the pin, but we also get more distance on that first piece of fairway, which gives us a more open shot towards the pin. So we're going to use the shadow as a reference. You can see the shadow that we do have from the trees, and we're going to have the bottom part of the shadow as a reference for our drive. 3 bars of topspin if we would be having crosswind. If we 4 bars of topspin with crosswind, 3 bars of topspin with tailwind, and then we're going to have 5 bars of topspin with headwind. Really have in mind here that we need to add just a tiny little bit for the elevation. For the first shot, it's going to be 5% extra, and especially for the impact of the bounce that we're going to get. If we do have a strong crosswind right to left or left to right, we need to compensate for that one with either side spin or curl against the wind. Master T, the same type of adjustment. We play straight forward, then we do have either a sniper or a guardian towards the pin. Bounce on the first fairway up to the green, then we're going to be there fighting for that eagle. There is a risk if you do play close to the fringe, then that you can get that we all call the fringe glitch, that could push you all over the green. Shouldn't be a danger in terms of getting you into the rough or not, but at least try to stay away from it, because we never know what the fringe has planned for us. So, oh my god, not this one. Hole number 5, par 5, that feels like a par 9. So, how do we play hole number 5?
Well, keep your quarterback out. Yep, you heard me right. Keep your quarterback out, even though it seems like a par 6 going on here. Your quarterback, I would take the black line. And again, I like the quarterback here because if we went with the extra mile, you'd probably be using a little bit of backspin or laying up, and you'd have less of a ball guide. So once again, the ball guide and the accuracy, you want to get as close to the rough as possible, but at the same time, don't take any unnecessary risks. So if you're not comfortable, you know, backing it up a little bit and coming just a little bit shy of that black box, it's okay. Because me and Tommy talked before the making of this video, and I seen the light and he changed my mind. What we're doing here with our second shot is what's important, and that's why we can come up just a little bit short, and that is a rough bump. And yes, this is the first time I believe I've seen a rough bump where we're actually not rough bumping into the hole. So there's a gap between the trees, as you could see if you follow that black line forward. You want to go full top spin with your big dog. There's plenty of rough there, so even if you're a little bit shaky in your skills, this is an excellent position for you to test your rough bump skills. Remember, the rough deadens the ball, so that's why there's such a short line to the next black box. And then, as you can see there, that second black box gives you an amazing clear shot that I've never played this hole with before, where the trees aren't in your way. And as rookies, we may struggle with curl. Either our clubs might not have much curl, or we may not know exactly what curl means. So by doing it the way Tommy said, with a rough bump on the second shot there, you're going to be using the big dog again on your third shot and approach. But if you're really lucky, you might be able to see that flag. If you're not so lucky, you might just need to put some spin on the ball, maybe a little bit of curl, but nothing too wild. I would say be happy with a birdie here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the birdie part and with the explanation as well. But the birdie part is we should go in with the understanding of that this we will not reach the green in 2. But there is a way to do it. But from second tee and also from third tee, but it requires for us to have a massive tailwind. I would say for players that play pro, I would say it's almost out of the question, because the wind isn't going to be that strong. For expert, it's going to be there with straight tailwind, and master as well. And first, RJ did cover the black line, and that is going to be the same type of play for pro, expert and master, with whatever wind except for a massive tailwind in expert and master. So we line up close to the rough, do the rough bump, and then go to the pin there. I'm not going to go into detail there more because it was covered very clearly. But if we do have a massive tailwind, and I would stretch myself to use maybe this ghost ball or whatever it's called, I don't remember, or a snow globe ball or a turbo ball, that could be a possibility from pro. But I'm going to, that's how far I'm going to stretch it. But otherwise, with tailwind, use either a big topper, or you're using a Thor's hammer level 6 or 7, or an Apocalypse level 6 or 7 from the second tee. We bounce where the first black mark is with curl and as much side spin we can combined with the top spin, trying to get it through the rough over to the first yellow marker. And not yellow, the thing that you eat, like the color yellow. So for the second shot, then we're going to have the big dog, or we're going to have the cataclysm, as we do need distance. Then we need to, then we need to slice it, and we need to slice it to the pin. And that is going to be something that we might have to like use like a little bit of trial and error. We might need to watch a video for that as well. I'm going to go for it if the wind is there, and then of course we can help each other out, but we do need to go with a slice to be able to get it close to the pin, because the trees are in play the whole right side, and the worst case scenario would be that we do get amongst those trees, then we are screwed basically. So and that from Master T, I would go with exactly the same type of play. The only difference I would be is to take away that big topper. That won't be having enough distance. So you need to have a driver with a good amount of topspin. Apocalypse 5 maybe could be a possibility, but I would take it as Apocalypse 6 or 7 for that shot. Now I'm talking about such a minor type of situations, because if it would be, I wouldn't be surprised to see us having headwind, crosswind, or something like that. Then it's going to be a very boring hole. I myself hope we're going to have tailwind and we can go for it. I would stay away completely from the white line, to be honest, and that is almost a line that I should take away, because the black line could sort itself out. The only reason we could play according to the white line is that we are feeling very uncomfortable going with the rough bump, or we maybe are not having a very upgraded wood club, so we do need to have more fairway to work with maybe topspin or something like that. That's the only reason. Elevation, first shot 10% goes for all the divisions, so add 10% to your drive, then you're going to be more spot on with your numbers. And then the second shot and third shot, not going to be any elevation possibility here. So now I did try to cover the aggressive part here, but you can hear as well how hard that is going to be. And if you for some reason mess up your drive and you land in the rough and you're going to get stuck in the rough, then you play it up towards where the third black marker is on that fairway with your rough iron to have a more open shot for a third shot towards the pin. That is kind of your safety net, because you're going to be able to reach to that spot from the second tee and from the third tee as well. Hole number 6, this has been one of the easiest par 3s. I don't know if you know, RJ, that this has actually some changes on this green that we didn't talk about before the video, but it's not going to endangering any of the regular adjustments. So I will leave it over to you. How do we play from the front tee?
All right. Well, no, I didn't know there was changes to the green, so can't wait for you to explain that on Pro through Expert. I'm sorry, through Master.
I can just sorry for interrupt you. I can say the difference is that the green is not like a big bowl. They are taking away the back part of it, so if you come in too hot, you're not going to get up to the hill and fall back down as you did before on the back. And now it's more flat on the back. It's still the same in the beginning, but it's just the back that is more flat at the moment.
They made a safe hole even safer then, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I won't complain about that, especially when you get those pars on you know, on the par 3s. It really stings. So that's a good thing for us in this tournament here. Let's see, so many choices. I'm going to go with the black line though, and with the black line I'm also going with the backbone and the navigator. We're not really going to need much side spin because it's a very straightforward hole. You're going to want to line your target up right next to the rough there, but make sure you're leaving room for error, because the last thing you want to do is clip that rough and end up in the sand. I would say 1 or 2 backspin should be plenty enough. You know, trust your ball guide on this. Most backbones have a pretty decent ball guide, but that's the main thing. There's not much really to talk about this. Just leave room for error so you don't have to be trying to go for a birdie with a sand wedge here.
Yeah, and it's the only difference is here we're going to play it exactly the same way in terms of, like, you can see there's only a black line, and that is the thing that we're going to follow. We're going to add 10% to our adjustment. That goes for all the divisions. not just Pro and Expert and Master, but also Rookie. And from Pro and Expert T, we're going to play with a wood club, and from third T, we're going to play with either a wood club or we are going to play with a driver, most likely a driver if we're not having a massive tailwind from the third T. And we're going to drop it, bounce it over the bunker and make it fall down towards the pin. From Pro and Expert T, around 3 bars of backspin with a crosswind, headwind 2 bars, headwind 2 bars, and then tailwind is going to be 4 bars. I did mix it up in my head there. With the driver, we are going to use a quarterback or we're going to use the rocket, and we're going to give ourselves around 4 to 6 bars of backspin, depending on the strength in the wind. One of the holes where it actually going to be a big possibility for hole-in-one, in my opinion, and it's going to be very interesting to see what type of wind we're going to get for hole number 6. Hole number 7, now we do have again, like, this is like white, yellow and black. Every line goes all over the place. So very interested, because I really liked your way to explain how you should be playing it as a rookie for hole number 7.
All right, well, guess what we're using off the tee? A sniper or a viper? Yep, you heard me right. I like this white line right here. I would go with side spin ball, and I would go with full left spin, but be careful on the curl. You know, I wouldn't even bother putting too much curl on it whatsoever, because a lot of times people will end up going in the rough, playing it just a little bit too safe there. But yeah, with the sniper or the viper, that second shot is a lot longer than all the other shots. However, because it bulges out, the fairway bulges out a little bit there, which you'll be taking advantage of with your left curl, you will have almost a perfectly straight shot to the pin. And where you use the left curl, if the rough is in your way, you can now use the right curl and keep your adjustment away from the rough there. And definitely an eagle is a possibility here. So that is the way I would play this particular hole 7, is, you know, just be very careful. Minimum ball I would use would be a quasar. I really like the katana because you get all 3. So for hole 7, yeah, that's the way I would play this as a rookie.
Yeah, and that way is way possible to play it in Pro and Expert from second tee as well, and also from third tee. That's has been becoming a very common way to play this hole if you do have, let's say, a very strong crosswind, or maybe like a strong tailwind, or you maybe don't feel comfortable playing yourself close to the top there because you do not have the adjustment, and will either go short or you are going to go long for according to the black line. I do mixer myself a little bit here. If I do have a strong crosswind right to left, then I'm playing according to the white line. The reason I'm doing that is because I do feel that for going over the water completely according to the yellow line, that is not going to be easy, and I'm most likely going to put myself in the drink. According to the black line, with that type of wind, that is going to be a second shot that is going to be very tough, that I'm most likely going to have to adjust down into the water for my second shot with my thorn. So when I do have wind left to right, then I'm trying to play according to the black line, and that is also with headwind, because then I know that for my second shot, the max backspin approach with my thorn is going to be a possible eagle for me, and in a situation that I like, because I can adjust at the same spot, will not drop down in the water with my adjustment, etc. If I would be having tailwind, then I would actually try to go over the water. I know that is going to be dangerous, but it's going to be a very very possible way to get that ball very close to the green and make an eagle from very short distance. If you do want to go according to the black line, use 1 to 2 bars of topspin. And then I would suggest that you use a driver with a good amount of ball guide. And I would say the quarterback isn't a bad club here. if it's not a massive headwind. With crosswind, I think the quarterback would even be the better club if you do not want to, like if you're not going to try to go over according to the yellow line. Now, I'm rambling a lot, but there is different, many ways to play this hole, and that's what I'm trying to point out to you, because it's very important again that you do decide yourself when you go in, you see the wind, okay, how I'm going to play it. So I have like, okay, left to right wind, I played this way, right to left wind, I played that way, and then tailwind played that way. Then I'm not going to struggle with my own thoughts and my own focus when I do go in and play my shot. 10% extra for the first shot. Second shot doesn't need any elevation adjustment, but 10% extra for the first shot. And I would strongly advise you to play with, according to black line, a power 3 ball, a kingmaker especially, but also a titan would be good. A power 4 ball for if you're playing in master division could be a play as well. If you go and line up short, according to the white line, as RJ said, katana is preferred. They are also possible to be bought in the tournament package as well as normal. So that was hole number 7, and we're going to go to hole number. Yep. I back up.
You really piqued my interest there by talking about if there was a strong backwind. Yep. Is it possible for a rookie, knowing the max winds that you know, can be had in rookie, is it possible for a rookie to jump over the water on the drive?
Not with. Did you? I guess you meant tailwind now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say no, because you most of the time are going to be necessary to use at least like a 6-7 bars of topspin. Sure, the big topper is there, but the big topper has a very lousy accuracy, and this is a very famous hole. I think that many players has at least been in the water at least one time. So I would, if I would, let's say I would be having a second account that I play rookie, and and I feel very comfortable with my adjustment, sure, I could try it, but without the big topper I would never try it, for an example. So, okay, so 99% no.
Oh, that's good enough for me.
Yeah. That's good. Okay, hole number 8, par 3, and a very interesting hole.
Yeah, on this particular hole, I like the white line personally. I would go with just enough backspin. I don't know exactly what that is. I'm sorry. Also, it's a backbone hole. Once again, if you're seeing a theme with the backbone and the quarterback here, go with just enough backspin to comfortably get you to jump over from fairway to fairway. You definitely don't want to land on the fairway. I'm sorry, on the rough there, and you also don't want to clip the rough when you're bouncing out, because you're going to make your second shot a lot harder than it has to be. So given that, that's the way I would take it. I don't know the exact numbers because I'm used to playing it in expert myself, but like I said, just make sure you have enough room to land so you don't land in the rough, and then also make sure that your bounce doesn't land in the rough. Now, there's a second way to play this as well. If you have a little bit more skill, we see the black line there for a rough bump. Rough bumps are always extremely fun, but personally, for rookies, I think that's a very thin line. Be very careful not to, you know, if you're gonna be putting topspin on for a rough bump, so you don't want to miss the rough, but you also don't want to land in the sand. But for those rookies that are skilled enough, a rough bump is definitely in play here. So those are the two ways you could play it. You could play with white and black. I agree with both.
Yeah, and I can just to add for the part with rookie is that if you want to learn how to play according to the rough bump, check out the whole guide that is here on I would say my channel, because this video is going to be on RJ's channel as well, but on my channel in the playlist for like the whole guide for hole number 8, and you will be able to see me play the rough bump, and I also explain my adjustment, and you can see the setup, etc. So for pro and expert tee, we are most likely not going to go for the rough bump. I would love to go for it, but in my opinion, it would be a line that should be played if we do have crosswind. So we are not risking too much. If we let's say we hit the ball great on either left or right side, that we're still going to be aligned with the rough. If we do have tailwind or crosswind, it's very easy with our adjustment there that if we hit it great, we're going to lose distance, and then we might going to be in the sand, or we're going to bounce on the fairway after the rough, etc. So the rough bump will not be the most common way to play this hole. The most common way to play this hole is according to the white line when you play from the second tee, but also from the third tee. We do bounce with a general backspin with our wood club, which is going to be the sniper, with 2.5 to 3 bars of backspin. When we do have headwind, we do play with 2 bars of backspin. When we do have tailwind, we do play with 3.5 bars of backspin. The reason we do change in that way is to compensate for either the extended ball guideline we're going to get with tailwind or the compressed ball guideline we're going to get in headwind. Master tee, if we do have some tailwind on this one, let's say we would be having a strong tailwind, then we would be playing with the wood club. With crosswind, and let's say we would be playing with a ball with more wind resistance, which is very common, but also a kingmaker, then we will be playing with either, it's going to be 2 ways. With a kingmaker, we're going to play with a wood club still, with crosswind, and if we do have a wind 5 ball, we're going to play with a driver in minimum distance. The biggest difference here with this hole is, let's say we have headwind in master, then we're going to have to play it on the left side of the rough, and that is a line that I actually haven't drawn now. That's a mistake by myself, but we're going to play it on the left side using a club with a good amount of backspin, like the quarterback would be perfect. We do adjust our numbers, and then using the max backspin combined with max side spin to the right to get the ball close to the pin. I would say that with headwind, this is not going to be a hole-in-one hole in master. Then we should be more focused on just getting that one to the green and take our birdie. We do add 10% extra in adjustment for elevation for those of you that play from front tee, which is rookie division. For those of you that play second and third tee, pro and expert and master, we do add 20% in extra adjustment for the elevation. So last but not least, hole number 9. And we need to finish up with an eagle, otherwise we're going to have a problem. So how do we play hole number 9?
Hole number 9 can definitely be a headache if you're not playing it properly. For me personally, I like to have an easier second shot, so I take my risk on the first shot, which is the black line, jumping over the water with the extra mile. And I would also bring a power ball. Probably don't need anything more than a Titan or a Kingmaker. Tommy will correct me if I'm wrong on that. For your drive, it's not that you need the power, because we're actually going to go with only 2 or 3 topspin to prevent us from going all the way into the rough or the sand beyond that second black box. But also be very careful with where your ball lands, because I've seen a lot of people clip the rough and go in the water, or heck, one tournament many eons ago, I landed directly in the water. Don't know what happened there. A lot of people also, with the extra mile not having that much curl, some left curl and left spin could also be helpful, just to inch you a little bit closer for your second shot. Then with your big dog, as you can see, this is where going with that shot really pays off. If you look to where that third box is, just under the white line there, you have a perfect straight line shot to the green. Be very careful. Don't be going full top spin, you know, because the ball guide on the big dog isn't the most reliable and the accuracy isn't the greatest. But if you can hit a perfect shot with a little bit of top spin, in most cases, you can definitely get yourself an easy eagle here. I think most people are going to mess up on the drive rather than the second shot taking the black line. I think the black line's most common, but the white line is also something you can do if you want an easier first shot and then a little bit harder second shot. The bad thing about a hard first shot is if you do end up in the sand or the water, there's no way you're going to get the eagle without some luck.
Do you know, can I ask you a question, RJ? Do you know why it's more common that players struggle with the drive here than with the second shot?
From what I've seen, there's got to be some sort of a slope at least in my case, because I remember I thought I left plenty of room for error, but I would end up, my ball would land right on the rough and then go in the water. And then once I got that figured out, I was going full topspin, and then that would put me right into the sand. So I had problems on both ends of this hole.
Yeah, and you basically answer it without answering it, and when you say you make a lot more room for air than you thought, but you still went into the rough, is that this is a hole where we need to compensate, or we need to over adjust our shot due to that we are playing downhill. That is the biggest reason why players mess up the drive, as we do adjust it normally, but then we travels like way further or way shorter than we did expect. Due to that, again, we're playing downhill and the wind is going to affect our ball even more. So we really need to have that in mind when we're playing. And if to take pro and expert and master from second tee, we are going to play according to the black line with any type of wind except for straight headwind. Then we're going to play with, let's say we would be having crosswind, or a crosswind with some minor headwind or some minor tailwind, then we will have to apply overpower. With tailwind, we don't have to overpower. But that is also why this hole is very tough, as you most likely going to be needed to have some overpower, and that is always going to be a risk factor, as it's way harder to hit the ball perfect with overpower than a regular shot. So 2 bars of topspin, max side spin, and then also curl to the left. That has already been covered. Second shot, big dog, cataclysm, give ourselves some distance. 1 to 2 bars of topspin to bounce it over the rough. There, 2 bars of topspin if you do have some headwind, 1 bar if you do have tailwind. You can also, if you do make a really good drive and you do get enough distance, then you might still could be going without topspin, especially with tailwind. If we do have wind in our face, then that's the biggest concern in my opinion. Like if we do have wind in our face, then we need to play according to the white line, because the water, we're going to hit the water if we're going to aim for bouncing over, 100% going to be in the water. So then we try to go as far as possible to the white line, to the top of the fairway according to the white line, being as close to the left side of it as possible. That is going to be tough. Sometimes we're going to mess up. We're going to land in the rough and get stuck there. Then we can't reach for the green in 2. And we can reach for the green in 2 for our second shot if we are landing it close enough there to the top. Because then we're going to bounce according to what will be the third white marker with a wood club that gives us an enormous amount of topspin. And here I would suggest you to either, if you do have an upgraded cataclysm, or you're going to play with the horizon. And horizon isn't a club that is common to be suggested, but the horizon here is going to give you a massive topspin. And when you bounce on that fairway there, you're going to, in some cases, going to get such a roll that you're actually going to roll yourself very close to the green or onto the green. Sometimes you're going to get a bad bounce, and then you're going to roll yourself to either to the just next piece of fairway, going to get stuck there, or you're going to just roll and be stuck in the rough. But then it doesn't really matter if you get stuck in the rough. We are going to try that shot nonetheless. So a very tough hole here, and also for the second shot we need to subtract, we need to take away 5% to our adjustment, because we're playing that second shot slightly uphill. Yeah, that was it. 9 holes of the mountain tournament, and again, it's a little bit, it's a long video, but I promise you that this is definitely going to help your game. And if you do have any question, please feel free to make a question in the comment section on down below on the video, and any one of us will be there to help you out with the answer. There will be streams from both of us during the tournament, and yeah, definitely some more help with that type of thing. I will have playthroughs out now Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the different divisions to help out with the regular tournament win. Check out the text guides directly through the link in the video description down below. RJ, how is the schedule? I know you're streaming late Monday as usual, right? Or
Yes,
late and
I
late,
have
but
a
yeah.
doctor's appointment, so probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock for me. And then beyond that, I like to try to hop on around 6 p.m. Eastern time for the rest of the tournament, but God knows I'm never on time.
Not, yeah, I am. I will have to say I'm actually good. I'm better to be on time with that than I am with anything else in my life, really. So it's oh, but again, thank you from both of us. And again, if you do have any questions, please let us know. So I will leave it up to you. Let's end it in the normal way here on the channel. So I will. Oh, yeah. Okay. How do we say it here? Oh.
Happy stroking, everyone.
Happy stroking.